Brown would be the biggest musician of all time. Dare I say, even bigger than maybe even Beyonce, if he didn't beat Rihanna. Let's talk about it. Okay, maybe not Beyonce. Maybe let's say Justin Bieber. He'd be bigger than Justin Bieber, which I guess it's arguable who's bigger. I didn't say who's more talented before the Beehive come for me, but I said who's bigger, right? In terms of streams, in terms of, views, Justin Bieber's a bigger artist. But in terms of talent, in terms of notoriety, respect, in terms of ability to probably sell out stadiums. Actually, I wonder who sells out more. I digress. That's not the point. But I was talking about Chris Brown, not Justin Bieber or Beyonce. So let's talk about this. Chris Brown, I just look at him and I'm like, I guess so sad, because it's like he was on track to be the biggest musician of all time. And in my view, he probably is. I don't know that I think he has equal talent to Beyonce. Hands down. Right. But I guess yes and no, because yes and no. And I'm going to break down why he doesn't necessarily have equal talent to Beyonce, because Beyonce has the full package and he only has the dancing and the singing. But okay, let's break it down. So he just dropped a new music video. I could swear to you, he's done this video like 1,000 times. There's nothing new coming out of him. I swear, this Transformer thing, he tried to do this in 2011 when he did the I'm a Transform You music video. Obviously, the technology that we had back then was so much more expensive to achieve that, especially for a music video. He wouldn't have had the budget. And even when you look at this, like, the quality of it is not like the same quality you would get in the movie Transformers, but it's so much more advanced. And this is what he was trying to do back then. But he's still doing the same concept. I mean, come on, bro. Like, innovate. So let's just break it down. You know what I would say? Let me change that. Let me switch up what I just said. Chris Brown would be as big as Rihanna if he didn't beat her. She took his place, essentially. And it's so sad to see such a great talent ruin, just absolutely destroy his footing. And you look at him and you know that he probably is the hardest working musician out there. I don't know about hardest working, but he releases a lot of music. I mean, the only people that I know that probably record as much music as Chris Brown is probably Lil Wayne and maybe even Soulja Boy. And obviously we know Soulja Boy's talent is on a different scale. But Chris Brown, like, it's just so sad to me to see that this individual, if you guys remember when he first came out and he had all this talent, everybody was raving about him. Beyonce, Michael Jackson, Usher, everybody was raving about him, and he was on this straight line to success. And then what happened? He got in his own way. We know that, the domestic, I don't want to get into much depth about the domestic violence and, what he did to Rihanna. It was completely awful. It was completely disgusting. And it was completely good. He was probably the first modern artist that got canceled, which was much deserved. But it wasn't just about him beating Rihanna, because over the years he showed his character. Like Karrueche claimed that he kicked her in the stomach or something, or kicked her down the stairs. I'm going to put the article a few times. He's been in and out of jail. So this character now shows that it's not just the beating of Rihanna, but it's his consistently being in and out of trouble, right? And that was his biggest downfall. That was the reason he is not a superstar. He's a star. He's probably, I don't know what, he's a big star. Let's put it that way. He's a huge star, but he's not he's not a superstar. And you know what? I've even heard behind the scenes also, there are so many times that he had a chance to rebrand himself and improve his image. But because like he's been described as a knucklehead behind the scenes, he wasn't able to maintain the right team behind the scenes to help him consistently grow and become what Justin Bieber has become and become what Beyonce has become. So the way that I look at talent, because a lot of people just think talent is music, it's, your ability to be creative. I think talent is bigger than that, is more than that. When you look at someone like Kim Kardashian, who has been able to monetize and become the biggest influencer in the world, maybe even biggest celebrity in the world, being able to become that out of no talent is what they call it. At this point, we have to recognize that talent is more than your ability to sing. Talent is about your brand, your ability to have a strong brand. I think that's what talent is. Your ability to have a strong brand, your ability to market yourself, your ability to innovate, your ability to be creative. That's definitely a component, and create interesting things. That is what talent is now. And Beyonce has the full package. Beyonce is the innovator. That's why she's the biggest musician, the biggest celebrity, right? Not only does she have all those things, she's also an incredible performer. So she has all the foundational things that we saw in Michael Jackson. And then in addition to that, she has sculpted herself within this new generation and been able to maintain the status of what a Michael Jackson would have looked like in this generation. Let's put it that way, because there's no celebrity that is as big as Michael Jackson was in the 80s and maybe early 90s, and that's only because of the nature of media has changed. Now we have way more access to celebrities. Now we have way more access to their thoughts, to what they do, and they're more human. But with Michael Jackson in those days, musicians, celebrities, they were so elusive. All you got was like when you saw them perform on stage, and maybe they'll do a little interview here and there, and that's where you would like get a glimpse of who they were. But most of it was you reading articles, and it's so much different than reading an article about like a celebrity that you love, as opposed to seeing them on social media cook breakfast, seeing them and their family hang out, right? So that's the difference, right? And that's why Michael Jackson's fame was so much more, let's say like he was so much more of a superstar than anybody could possibly be in this era, simply because of the nature of his era. But I would say Beyonce in this era has evolved to be the Michael Jackson equivalent, right? And she has the whole package, right? And even more, I would say, because with evolution, there needs to be updates. So that's what Beyonce has been able to do, and that is talent, right? We look at Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber, to me, incredible talent, but we know that Chris Brown is way more talented. We know that Beyonce is way more talented, but at the end of the day, we understand that. Don't get it twisted. I love Justin Bieber. He's my favorite musician. Love Justin Bieber, but I can still acknowledge that all these people are more talented than him. And we acknowledge that just the way that the world is, they're going to celebrate a white person more than they will celebrate a black person. But even despite all of that, Michael Jackson was black. Well, I guess people perceived him as white because he bleached his skin. But regardless of that, he was still a black man, and he was the biggest star in the world. Beyonce is still a black woman, right? And the biggest star in the world. More respected than a Justin Bieber, right? Still the biggest star in the world. And I really do believe that if Chris Brown didn't ruin his career by consistently being a degenerate, I'm sorry to call him names, but like, let's just call a spade, consistently being a degenerate, consistently being abusive, getting in Twitter arguments with people, saying such foul things on social media, if he didn't ruin his image in this way, he would be a Beyonce big. He would be a Justin Bieber big. He would be a superstar. He would be a Drake big, a Kanye West big. And unfortunately, because he ruined that, because of this downfall, his downfall, it also affects, it doesn't only affect his image and his branding and all of that. It doesn't only affect his notoriety, his publicity, because there are literally people that still hate him for beating up Rihanna. There are literally people that still think about him that way. But despite that, we look at the lack of innovation in his content, and it stems from the fact that people don't want to work with him. People think that Beyonce does this by herself. She doesn't. Beyonce has an elaborate team. Beyonce is known for, quote unquote, stealing different artists' works, but she collaborates with a whole team. We look at, she innovates, she collaborates, and that's what great artists do. They work with a big team. But there are people that just won't. There are many talented people that won't work with Chris Brown simply because of his reputation and simply because of what he's done behind the scenes, right? And even the stuff we've heard about in media. So he's limited himself, his pool of creativity, which has kept him stunted, and has made his work lack innovation. That's why 11 years later, he's doing the exact same music video. And it's like, dude, every time Chris Brown releases a music video, I'm just like, wasn't this the last video? What is the difference between this and the previous one? It's so sad. But anyway, I just hope that it's a lesson for people, especially those that are going to come into music and be extremely talented and are extremely talented. Don't let your personal life get in the way of your work. And this isn't only an example for people in music, in any industry. Don't let your personal life get in the way of your work. We understand that he grew up in a house where his mom's husband, or I think his stepdad, was abusive. And so this was learned behavior. We saw the same thing with R. Kelly. We're seeing the same thing with Trey Songz. I wonder if there's a curse of male R&B singers. The only one that doesn't have like a dirty image is Usher. When you think about it, but they still kind of try to scar him, right, for giving people herpes. But when you really think about it, Chris Brown, Trey Songz, R. Kelly, Michael Jackson, all of them have been accused or have been exposed for being dirty behind the scenes. But either way, I digress. Back to my point. I hope this is a lesson for any creative to know that get your house in order, see a therapist, do what you need to do so your personal issues won't get in the way of your brand, because we're right now we're in the 21st century. The times have changed. It's no longer back in the day when Elvis Presley was allowed to molest girls or Michael Jackson was allowed to molest little boys. This is not going to fly in this generation. So go and see a therapist, contain yourself, don't abuse your power, and it's not going to get in the way of you becoming the biggest star in the world. I mean, look, we're exposing princes, Prince Andrew of the UK, the most reputable monarchy in the world, the most respected monarchy in the world. It's all coming. Social media, cancel culture is coming for everyone, right? It's coming for everyone. And so to make sure that the best way to avoid getting canceled in this way for, the Me Too, for actually being abusive, is to not do it. That's the best way. Don't do it. And if you have an issue with that, with like a need to be abusive, make sure you seek help. Seek help so you do not exploit people. But either way, it's just such a shame to see Chris Brown. In my view, he is a fallen star. Don't get it twisted. Like, I get that he's still influential. He's still big. People still do love him. He's still an impactful star, but he's just not what he should have been and what we all anticipated for him to be. And it's really unfortunate because we see even till today, he's still like giving us amazing, incredible dance moves. He's still doing all this stuff, but nobody cares because he's not. Because all the things I mentioned earlier. And how is it that somebody with as much talent as he has, you put him against somebody like a Rihanna, who, don't get it twisted, Rihanna has a talent for creating incredible music. That's a huge talent, right? But that's something that could be acquired. Chris Brown could acquire that if he positioned himself as the Michael Jackson takeover. Like, the baton was handed to him. They already passed the baton. Usher passed the baton and he ruined it. That's the, yeah. Yeah, but either way, it's so sad, but it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. My name is Kenim, and see you next time. Peace. We've just launched mintedculture.com, a way for you to engage with all our content across social media. I know you guys are used to seeing brand video pro content, but I have other channels. I have the Kenim O show, which is it's a channel more about relationships, dating, modern culture, all the stuff that you saw me posting on this channel about the red pill, about modern dating, about modern culture, all my cultural essays. I've moved them to that channel. This channel, I'm going to stay focused on having this dynamic discussions about trending topics in media, entertainment, music, etc. So I'm going to keep, and Web3, all of that. So this channel is going to be hyper focused on this, but I've moved all my content about, like I said, all that content is going to go on the Kenim O show. So go follow that channel, and definitely you could go to mintedculture.com, where I'm going to be posting all my videos from all my platforms on that website every single day. Then I also have Stream OVG Business, which is a channel more focused on business, entrepreneurship, making money, personal finances, and business opportunities. So go check that out too. And then of course there's Stream OVG about Black history, business, politics, and culture. So all of these different platforms are highlighted on mintedculture.com. So be sure to go check out mintedculture.com.